Broadcasting to viewers in Liberia and across the globe. Hello and welcome to News Today on KMTV. My name is Anthony Kukui. Wherever you're watching us from, we say thanks for joining our news broadcast tonight. Let's take a look at stories making headlines. Nimba County Senator Prince Johnson describes as garbage the court for the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court in Liberia, says there is no legal reliance. Gender Minister Wilmita Sidita makes Liberia case at the United Nations Security Council open debate on women, peace and security. And a 3-day Directors of National Meteorological Services meeting has ended in Monrovia with a number of recommendations drafted. Welcome once again to KMTV News. We begin a program at the United Nations where Liberia's ambassador to the UN, D. Maswell Kimian, says the Liberian government remains committed to ensure continuous equal access to justice for all Liberians and inhabitants in Liberia. Ambassador Kimian said the government, through its National Development Plan, the Purple Agenda for Prosperity and Development, has shown deep interest and is resolved to ensuring a country where equal access to justice, the rule of law and human rights will continue to prevail as captured on Pillar 3 of the Purple Agenda for Prosperity and Development. He said Liberian leader is working tirelessly along with his team officials to ensure that not just continuous access to justice for all, but continuous equal access to justice for all.
And you may be aware that as a country, our president did not only envision but launched our flagship national development plan, dubbed the Purple Agenda for Prosperity and Development. And within the framework of the Purple Agenda for Prosperity and Development is also embedded the issue of justice, the rule of law. Our leader remains unwavering as it relates to support to the justice system of our country. And the judiciary is very, very much pivotal, is key, and that's why we take interest, keen interest in the Judicial Training Institute. We think is a laudable venture, the issue, because we know that institute enhances capacity building for the judiciary, which we think is key. And as we look at our country and even listen and follow our Chief Justice, who is the head of our judiciary, which is one of the 3 branches of our government, his Honorable Chief Justice Francis Kokwa, and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court continue to leave no stone unturned in ensuring that every Liberian or inhabitant or resident in Liberia, and even beyond the individual level, that even institutions that seek justice do have access, equal access to the justice system. A lot is being done in terms of strengthening our judicial system.
Well, speaking earlier, Ms. Agneta Johansson, Executive Director of the International Legal Assistance Consortium, said the report, among other things, look at the courts, access to justice, and also examines the role of justice providers in the country.
Making an assessment of the legal sector, and then we had also we had some cooperation with the Minister of Justice in Liberia and with the judiciary, working together to establish the Judicial Training Institute in Liberia. And now we actually, last week, we had a launch in Liberia, in Monrovia, where your Minister of Justice was speaking, because we have just published a new report about how the formal justice system and the customary justice system, how it functions together, and the interlinkage between them, and that it is important to support each other, and so on. So we had a launch in Monrovia just last week, which was quite well attended. I wasn't there myself, but some of my staff members were. So then I thought that it would be a good opportunity to, since I'm here, to also visit you and present the report to you. And I also have some other documents with me, because this is what we do. We are both producing reports like this, and then we have different kind of programs. We are a very big consortium of associations of judges, lawyers, and prosecutors from almost all over the world. And so that's why we have a lot of professionals to.
A 3-day Directors of Meteorological Services meeting has ended in Monrovia with several recommendations drafted. Speaking at the close of the 3-day section, Deputy Transport Minister for Administration, Sadif Taylor, stressed the need for capacity building for individuals as well as infrastructure development in the meteorological sector of the country. He said the improvement of the meteorological and hydrological services in the region is key for the forward march of residents within those areas.
But a few things you recommend I'd like to talk about a little. We all want the improvement of meteorology and hydrological services in all member states. And you've asserted that quite succinctly. One thing you stress is human capacity building. It can be said strongly that we really need the capacity, and we all need the infrastructure development to let the capacity thrive on. One thing that came out of it, you stressed, and that has been the view of members of the panel, and Dr. Buanu said that there should be equality between meteorology and hydrology, which I think many governments in the region support. They should all be treated equally and fairly, because I think they complement each other. I think one cannot work without the other. Today, the participant in this room had made history for Liberia. You have elected Director Arthur Gagler in Liberia as the President of Directors. And he will be replacing the ex-president, His Excellency Lami May Toure. We want to thank you for the work you've done for the last 4 years. And Mr. Gagler, you have a huge task to work on. And also you have your footsteps that he has laid out is pretty big. I'm hoping that you will make it bigger for the next one to follow. Because the bigger the steps get, the bigger Africa is getting somewhere.
We're also speaking at the end of the program, Dr. Amos Makuru, that's Makaru, Director of Regional Africa World Meteorological Organization, noted that strengthening regional collaboration in the sector is key to the growth and development of the sector.
It takes a lot of investment for them. And even one person, a forecaster or meteorologist, that person has actually more important responsibilities and outreach. So definitely, as we are addressing the issue of capacity development, Honourable Minister, we're also requesting governments to also relax a bit, so at least to have more personnel to be recruited, so that at the end of the day, we all achieve the same thing. The second issue, which is very critical, is actually of cost recovery. Definitely, it is very, very important in that we are competing against many sectors. So it is very, very important, therefore, that there's a component of cost recovery. And this actually goes on hand in hand with the legality. And I'm extremely excited when you mentioned that we are actually working towards the semi-autonomy of the Liberian Geological Service. That is something that we're really looking forward to. But to most of our colleagues, again, that is an issue which you raised, and we're going to take it up and assist you in whatever way we can. Then there is also the issue of strengthening the regional climate centers. Definitely, it's very, very important, particularly now when we're talking of disasters. So this is also another issue that we're going to be taking up with our colleagues in WMO. But we also notice that in some countries, the hydrological sector and the meteorological sector are not talking to each other. We again appeal to you that we need to talk to each other, hydrology and water, because we are doing one and the same thing. So I don't want to take more time because.
Well, let's now move back to the United Nations, this time around to the Security Council, where Liberia's Gender, Children and Social Protection Minister, Wodimita Tar, says Liberia, as a United Nations troop contributing country, has made immense progress in achieving the gender parity requirement of the United Nations peacekeeping operations. The United Nations peacekeeping operations gender parity requirement calls for the inclusion and full participation of 15% females in every United Nations peacekeeping operations. Minister Tai informed the United Nations that Liberia has achieved 8% of the gender parity requirement within the peacekeeping missions by the armed forces of Liberia, and is exerting all efforts to reach the required 15% at the end of that's by 2022 in Liberia.
The year 2020 holds significance for amplifying the focus on the progress of women's advancement agenda. The milestone commemorations of the 20th anniversary of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, the 25th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Program of Action, and the 10th anniversary of the Mandate on Sexual Violence in Conflict create opportunities to undertake extensive inventories of how well we've achieved our commitments for the protection and promotion of the rights and advancement of women, as well as provide an opportunity to develop practical and robust solutions to addressing the gaps and challenges. Madam President, on April 23, 2019, Liberia joined other member states in pronouncing a number of commitments on its women, peace, and security agenda, leading up to the 20th anniversary in 2020. I'm proud to announce today that we have made good on 2 of the 6 commitments in advance of the 2020 target set. Phase 2 of our National Action Plan on Security Council Resolution 1325 has been completed and endorsed. The Domestic Violence Bill was recently passed in August of this year into law. We are confident that we will see the others come into timely fruition. In furtherance of our adherence to the tenets of UNSC Resolution 1325, His Excellency Dr. George Weah, President of the Republic of Liberia, in his own advocacy for advancing women in political leadership, championed a bill for the amendment to Article 80 of the Liberian Constitution in order to provide additional seats for marginalized groupings to include women, persons living with disabilities, and youth. This will allow for 15 seats additionally for women in the Senate of 30 seats that we already have, as per political subdivisions, and only female members of political parties will qualify to contest these seats. There will be 4 specialized seats in the House of Representatives for persons living with disabilities and youth. Though there are hindrances, as with everything that comes with change, we remain optimistic that this will be realized under this administration.
Let's now move forward to Nimba County, where Nimba County Senator Prince Johnson has described as garbage the planned establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court in Liberia. According to him, there is no legal backing to support the establishment of the court in Liberia. He told reporters Friday in Nimba County that those calling for the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court in Liberia are on the wrong path, terming them as stupid people. He rejected claims that he's always moved by the cause for the establishment of the court in Liberia, rather noted that those calling for the court establishment in Liberia are not knowledgeable about the laws and are reading the laws upside down.
Those people are on the wrong part of history. The first thing, if there was to be a war crime court, it's not possible in Liberia.
Why?
One key thing, the Rome statute. I went to Japan with Wale Duna and Laha Lasana. We brought it to Monrovia to have it ratified in 2003. It was after our war, so you cannot, it's not applicable to Liberia. That's one. Two, you have an amnesty law passed by the 51st legislature, granting amnesty to all factions in the republic who fought in the war. So you cannot have war crime court and amnesty in the same country. Amnesty for who? For all those who fought. Then you say war crime court. Why you didn't bring war crime court from Ghana?
So if they could have been established,
it will not be established. So just leave that. It's a garbage. Don't even worry about that.
But why you feel so bitter about the issues of war crime code? There are many listed names.
No, I'm not bitter. But those who are talking about it, they are stupid because they don't have sense. They are stupid because they know there are legal instruments that prevent that from happening. But they turn it upside down. There are legal instruments. They are stupid, including Tewon Gonglo too.
what are some of those?
You know what? You know what? I just told you. There's an amnesty law. Listen, no. We didn't even invite them here, but they came. Leave them from the station that answered to me. Leave it.
Let's leave it.
The first thing Tewon Gonglo people are stupid. You know what? Those damn lawyers under Tewon Gonglo leadership should have kept mute until war crime court comes. When it comes, then we who will be implicated will look for a lawyer among them to represent us. But when you lawyer go to Kakata and endorse war crime court, that means you are compromising yourself.
Yes,
so I only brought you for the development. But you want to talk politics, I'll be a Yake Koloba, I will give it to you. No, I'm not moved because
most often you talk about it.
You know why I talk about it? You have people in the law house who read the law upside down. Do you know the Constitution has never been taught? I'm 67, has never been taught in the Republic. In school, no. So you got more lawmakers who are bobo, who say they go to school but they don't read. Now, first thing, the TRC was never a court. When you say a man is a war criminal, it means you have convicted him. So why are you looking for a war crime court now? Look for jailhouse and put me. Because after conviction, sentence.
Do you think Barry is being called war criminal?
Yeah, because you see, you can't destroy people's record. Reputation is hard or something. It's what they use to stigma me. So when I'm running for the presidency, they know I can win. So they use that to rape, they use that to blackmail.
Meanwhile, Senator Johnson also found out those who use decentralization as a means of ascending to state power but fail to implement the projects. He said decentralization of political governance is key to Liberia's democratic process.
Or legislatively break down the government through decentralization.
But you supported this government.
Listen, I'm coming for that. I would have decentralized political governance constitutionally so that people can elect who govern them in the countries. I would have made good my promise. But people come to power, all government, all candidates come to lie. They use decentralization as a platform. When they get it, they don't because they want to centralize power. If I had been a president, I will focus on education also to make sure that the community colleges that are not standard, that are up to standard, a lot of things will be done. Okay? But since I am not, you can't question God. But I'm glad that I'm ambassador of Christ and I own a university. A decent one, not bati.
And briefly expose the much anticipated awards night of the Liberia Football Association just ended 2018-2019 league season is expected to take place tomorrow at the Monrovia City Hall with several individuals walking away with deserving individual awards. Prior to yesterday, Orange Liberia, official sponsors of the 2018-2019 of the first division, that's the National League in Liberia, contributed $3 million Liberian dollars towards the award process. So individuals tomorrow will be walking away with individual awards at the award ceremony. Well, with that development, that's how we go home on this weekend's edition of KMTV News Today. But before we go, here once again are stories that made the headlines. Nimba County Senator Prince Johnson has described as garbage the call for the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court in Liberia, says there is no legal reliance. Gender Minister Willimita Sedi-Tab makes Liberia case at the United Nations Security Council open debate on women, peace and security. And a 3-day Directors of National Meteorological Services meeting has ended in Monrovia with a number of recommendations drafted. We say many thanks to you for always joining our news broadcast from across the globe. On behalf of the entire news team here, my name is Anthony Kuko. You can also visit our website at www.kmtvliberia.com for more news and information. Until we're back here Monday with more developments, do have yourself a pleasant weekend from Camp Johnson Road in Monrovia. Good night.